Welcome back to Choirwire, the podcast connecting music educators to the heart of teaching. I'm Alex, and today we're talking about something that's a little tricky but super important, how we help our students become independent musicians in the choir classroom. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Independent? But isn't it choir? Aren't we supposed to do everything together? Yes, but also no. Because when your students start making musical decisions on their own, when they start thinking like musicians, not just following directions, that's when the magic happens. So what does musical independence actually look like in the choir setting? It's not just about singing the right notes. It's about, number one, knowing how to fix a pitch without being told, reading rhythms and figuring out entrances on their own, blending with the group, but still knowing how their part fits. And honestly, just being able to say, I got this, and actually mean it. There's so many other facets to being an independent musician as well, but these are just a couple of ideas. These are the kinds of skills that do take time, but they are so worth it. Because once your classroom starts running itself musically, woo, it's a beautiful thing. Here are some things that I've done in my classroom to help encourage musical independence. Letting students lead warm-ups, yes, even the goofy ones. Giving them score marking challenges like find 3 spots where you need to breathe and mark it. Using peer feedback during sectionals. It's wild how much they learn from each other. And also doing listening journals, listening back to their actual performance. That way they can think about, what did we do well today? What do we still need to fix? These little things add up, and they help your students start thinking like musicians, not just choir kids. Our special guest today is rock star middle school choir teacher, Courtney Connelly. Welcome, Courtney, to Choirwire. How are you today?
I am great, Alex. How are you?
I am good, and I'm excited for you to be here chatting about developing independent musicians.
I am too.
Choirwire, yeah.
What a great topic.
Yeah, and if you did not know, Courtney Connelly is one of those master teachers down here in Florida, and we all look up to her, and she's amazing, and you're going to find out why. No, she has developed amazing students that have gone on to be amazing musicians, and she has also turned out a bunch of interns as well who have turned into amazing teachers as well. So she has a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just happy that you're here today.
Yes, right back at you. I'm happy to be here too, and this is such an awesome topic to bring up as we're all embarking on either returning back to school or maybe we're starting a new school year. So this whole thread of podcasts you have going on are just an incredible way to get us all started and back in the mindset of school.
Yeah, that is one thing that I've got to get to somehow. I'm going to find it somehow, some way. Yeah. And that last podcast with Christina was talking about how we had some techniques to sort of help us through finding that calm before the storm. So
yes,
but yeah,
for sure.
So, but Courtney, if you would tell us a little bit about your experience in the choir classroom so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. So this is year 27 for me, which is crazy. Mostly middle school. I did do a little 5-year high school trial. That wasn't my fave. Middle school is my passion. It's my thing. I love them. They're weird and quirky and smelly, and I don't know. I just love them, and they get you great Christmas presents. They don't skip your class. I just love it. So back at middle school for a while now, and teaching with my amazing friend and colleague Ashley Maka over in Lake Nona, and loving life. Looking forward to another year and some new challenges and some new things to embark on. So we're excited to get the school year started. Also doing UCF Children's Choir. We're in year 5 of that, and it's growing and building and just a fun way to spend Monday nights. So I'm loving that right now.
Good. Very good. Mm-hmm. And all of your, the children's choir, I was just thinking about that. That sparked something in my mind because that's only once a week, right?
Yeah, once a week for nine weeks. It's short and simple. And Dr. Kelly Miller over at UCF and Dr. Jeff Redding have their music education students join us for those Monday nights for 9 weeks, and they each teach a song, and it's modeled after the amazing children's choir, Tallahassee Children's Choir with Dr. Bowers years ago. So it's just been a fun adventure. And it's really cool to watch those budding teachers grow. And it's definitely my passion, just mentoring those young teachers. And it's been a great joy.
That sort of sparked my mind. I was like, wait, this is exactly what we're talking about today, is developing independent musicians. And I'm sure a lot of what you do in the children's choir also has to do with developing those baby steps, those beginning steps of developing independent musicians. And I know that some of the other previous podcast episodes that I've talked about, I know that you were intrigued about those. And do you want to talk a little bit about that and how that correlates with developing independent musicians as well?
For sure. I have enjoyed listening to those previous podcasts because it's such a great setup for the topic today. If you're looking at the big picture and sort of the hierarchy of what needs to happen before you can even get to the subject of developing independent musicians, you have to have already established so many things that you guys have already talked about. So setting up your students for success in this particular topic depends on the previous topics you've talked about, where you're establishing structure and routine and safety in the classroom and community, and just making sure that you're setting up your students in a way that they feel comfortable and confident to be leaders, to be independent. So definitely, if you are a new teacher, go back and listen to those previous podcasts, because it is going to truly set you up for success in the classroom, because those are the things that need to happen first before you can even get to this idea of how do I develop, independent leaders and musicians in my classroom. So.
Absolutely. And the makeup of the way that the episodes are released, I've tried to scaffold it so that way as people are listening, we're kind of building.
That is brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
we're trying. So
yeah,
as best as we can.
Perfection. I love it.
Well, let's jump into these questions here. So, Courtney, what specific skills do you prioritize to help students become independent musicians in choir?
Okay, so let's talk first. Once you've created that climate of safety, and by this I mean that your students are feeling really good in your space.
Yes.
You started day one with structure and expectations. They know all your routines, your procedures, what to expect. It almost becomes slightly predictable, because we know that, especially with adolescents, when you give them those predictable routines and procedures, they feel safe. They feel confident in knowing who you are as their teacher. They know that you've got their back. The team is working together for these common goals, and that no one is going to laugh at them or make them feel less than, because you have created this safe space. This is first and foremost the most important setup for your students before you can even get to that point of building independence. You talked so much about creating that culture in your first podcast, and I feel like not just new teachers, but even like experienced teachers, we have to remember that, because sometimes we just want to jump into the music, and if you are not feeling as a student, just sometimes I put myself there, because middle school, I remember Michelle saying on her podcast that was a positive thing for her. Middle school was not positive for me.
Me either.
At all. Like, it was terrifying. And I think that, she used her experience to help her as a teacher, and I've used my terrible experience to help me as a teacher and create a better environment, because it was hard for me. I was very nervous and anxious and just afraid. I would have never raised my hand to sing alone, to offer an answer, because the space that was created for me was just a little bit more competitive, and it didn't feel as comfortable as we try and make our environment feel. So creating that culture that you talked about is so important, because if you do this, there's no limits to what you are going to be able to teach your kiddos. Right. They're forever, all the way to the end of the year, going to feel just safe and secure in raising their hands to answer questions, or to volunteer musical ideas or input when you ask for it, or even just singing alone becomes easy. And becomes part of your routine. It's not like a shock when you're like, hey, can somebody sing this phrase, or can you sight read this line? It's just becomes part of your routines and your procedures. It is built into your culture. So so important to emphasize that. I feel like kids need to know that you're going to protect them. And that if they give you the wrong answer, it's okay. You are still like encouraging them and hyping them up, and like, it's okay. Let's, and you kind of help them with that answer. It's going to make them feel really, really comfortable when it comes to building that independence. So in terms of specific skills that help them become more independent, I just feel like the confidence thing for them is like key. So you've built this culture of safety, and now you got to find ways to hone in on building their confidence. And so a great way to do that is building community, which Christina talked about. Like, now we know each other. I know you, you know me. I know that you're not going to laugh at me or make me feel bad if I sing something weird or if I answer something poorly and need a little help with that. So if your students know each other, they're going to feel comfortable around each other. And what's going to develop as a result? Trust. Like, if they trust you and they trust each other, oh my goodness, you're going to go big places with them.
I have a sidebar. I was able to watch Courtney in action. It was like almost over 14 years ago. When you had started, because I know your middle school did not start out as a middle school. It was sort of like half and half middle school, half high school. And I just remember observing you that one day, and I was probably like 80 sixth grade girls in that class, I think.
Was I crying in the practice room?
No.
That did happen once.
Oh, no, you weren't crying. No, it was a vocalese I think you were doing, and there was a part of the vocalese where the students had to finish it out loud. Like, they would all sing together, but they finished it out loud, and then you had like individuals sing the last part out loud.
Oh, wow.
And they were all raising their hands to do it next. And I was just like, what is this sorcery? How are these 80 sixth grade girls excited to sing out loud? And, there were ones that had, some better skills than others, but there was no judgment. It was like straight up just like, we are excited to do that. So I've always strived for that moment of, it's one of our standards, being able to sing alone, being able to sing independently. And so you were just doing the standard right there in just the warm-up section. And so I was just so enthralled by that. And I was like, how do I get there? So trust.
That's so cool that you remember that.
Oh,
I'm glad
that's
that
a
people
core memory.
remember these things and tell me, because I remember nothing. But I'm glad it was a good day for you. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of like, to me, the coolest part about teaching middle school, because especially sixth graders. So sixth graders, they're very different from an eighth grader. But if you can build that confidence starting when they're young and they just are kind of carefree and they still don't really care that much about what people think of them, it's just going to build and continue. You're not going to go through that weird seventh grade like slump where they don't want to do anything, because you've built that confidence in them that you can do this, and if you don't do it, it's okay, you can do it again, try it again. So you build that trust, and when they trust you, they're gonna want to do those things. So you've created that safe environment, and students believe in each other. There's like a mutual respect that blossoms between not just you and the singer, but each other, So, but that comes from community. That comes from routines and procedures and structure and a safe environment where they're like, I can mess up. It's okay. Nobody's going to knock me for that. We just have to, build that encouraging environment where they're going to be okay with it,
Yeah. Let's say we're talking about, first year teacher. Where would I start? Where would you encourage me to start after I found that trust in that community?
Okay. So I'm just going to be literal here and tell you exactly what I do.
Okay, great.
Because if I am a new teacher and I'm listening to this is going to help you. Okay. So here's what we do. Once you've built all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. So number one, start by just allowing them to lead something in class. Okay. So for example, I teach the first week of school. I teach everybody basic 4/4 pattern, conducting pattern. They think they are just the coolest things. So like I know we are here to sing, and there are some kids that are going to be comfortable singing, even as a group, like right away. But there's going to be some kids that are like, what is going on? What are you making me do? I don't know anything about this. And so sometimes when you just do some other music things, like here's a 4/4 pattern. I'm going to be doing this with my hands sometimes, and I want to teach it to you. Yeah. They dig it. They think it's cool. And so spend a lot of time on it, like correct it, like walk around and like show them what it looks like. Don't do it real quick, spend some time on it. And then we do that simple exercise, the, repatika, and we conduct to it. And we talk about the consonants and the diction, and we do it several times. This is not like something you do in one day. We're talking over weeks of time. And then, you're up on the podium and you conduct it, and you go faster and you go slower, and let me see who's watching. And then you get to the end and you do the little cutoff of whoosh, whoosh, but then on purpose you pause and you see who's watching, and somebody does it, and then we're all giggling and we all feel comfortable, and we're having fun. And then you say, would anyone like to come up here on the podium and feel what it's like to lead the class? And then you're like, boom, and all these hands go up, and you're like, okay, and you make a really big deal out of it. And so, little Johnny comes up and he conducts it, and you let him do it once, and then you give him like one tip. Johnny, try this. And then you let him do it again. And then like holy clapping and praise. Make him feel really good about what he did.
Yes.
And then, okay, is there anybody else that would like to try? And then more hands are now going up. So, you do this over weeks and weeks of time, and build it into your warm-up every day, and they want to do it. And then there might be somebody that still hasn't volunteered, they're like waiting to see what's going on. Maybe you have to offer some plus points. Maybe you offer something from the treasure box you talked about, or the prize bin. And now Jose is motivated because before it wasn't the intrinsic making of the music. The prize is motivating him. But now he's got up there and everybody's clapped for him and he's feeling real good. So now you've built this like classroom of motivated singers who just want to get up and do it by themselves. So you started with something completely non-singing. It's safe. I'm moving my hands. She's going to coach me a little bit. I'm going to do this. The class is following me. I'm in the lead, and we're feeling real good. So that's what we start with. And then maybe weeks later, now you've incorporated all of your warm-ups. Let somebody lead a warm-up. It could be a holy disaster. I don't know. But let somebody lead a warm-up. Don't let them do it by themselves. Support them. Either support them on the piano. Maybe you're singing along with them. Eventually, the goal is you're going to get to the point of who wants to lead this one. You give them a note and they sing it. So you start little by little. Singing is very personal. You might not have as many volunteers right off the bat with that one. Ashley always uses this analogy, like your voice is yours. You can't trade it in, like in band, I would prefer now not to play the clarinet. I'm going to switch to percussion, You don't get to do that in choir. No. This is your instrument. And so we talk all the time about how you are unique. You are special. Everybody has their own sound and their own quality of tone, and everybody's unique to the choir. We just really build them up. And so in the beginning, not many will volunteer, but middle of the year, by the end, you're tired on Friday, guess who's leading warm-ups? Your kids.
Right, yes.
So that's the kind of the hierarchy.
This next question I feel like is just rolling right into that. What strategies or routines have you found most effective for fostering student ownership of their musicianship? I feel like we kind of already touched on that a little bit, but are there any other routines or strategies that you use?
I think it's really important that every student has their own music. I feel like if you give them ownership over a piece of music and they are permitted to write in it, they can put their name on it. They can write their notes in it if they need to, their solfege, their rhythms. They can identify the crescendos and then independently let you know where they are. Maybe you're probing questions and they are helping you with that musical interpretation, or is there another spot that maybe you feel like the note should swell, or maybe we should decrescendo, and you're kind of putting that in their hands, it really fosters that independence. Then it's not you telling them, hey, I think we should grow here. It's like, now we're doing this together. And by giving them like ownership over a piece of music where they can write it in, they're not sharing necessarily at first with a neighbor. Maybe eventually you do that and you do it as a team, but first and foremost, there's this ownership of, this is my piece of music. I'm going to write it all in. And then you're checking, you're holding them accountable. Are you writing it in? I just feel like it really fosters not just ownership, but also pride. They take such pride in, this is my piece of music and I'm going to write this in it. It's a really wonderful strategy in the beginning, especially when you're starting a piece, to get them to kind of own it, you know? Another way that you can use some strategies and routines that can help you kind of build that ownership and musicianship is when you're doing sectionals. Maybe you're kind of helping them, giving them a simple, short part that they have to help each other with. And then that's when you really, truly see some leaders emerge. And make it fun. Make it, okay, we're only learning measures 1 through 8. Everybody go into their parts and their sections, and then you kind of bring them back together and really praise them for what they have learned, separate from you, guiding them through each of those notes. So that's a wonderful way to help develop their independence.
Yeah, we have done that a couple of times. We put them into sectionals or part groups or whatever, and we kind of take the fast track. I know some people don't like to use part tracks, but we use part tracks.
It works.
I know, but like you said, it helps to show off who is going to take the leadership, who's going to say, hey guys, can we go back to that one measure and really get that? Because nothing is worse when, you can tell sometimes this happens from year to year, where you'll put them into your sectionals and then they just listen to it over and over and over and over, but they're not really thinking about the things that they're getting wrong. They're not thinking about the things that, vocal technique, they're not thinking. They're just like, let me just regurgitate what I've been given. But I love to see it when the kids that are actually like, hey guys, we messed up measures 5 and 6. Can we just go back to that one part and really nail that? Like, that is when I'm like, yes,
for sure. And then they are so proud of themselves that they did it without you.
Yes, absolutely. I love it when they're like, we don't even need you anymore. I'm like, great.
Right.
Awesome.
I'm like, okay, peace out.
Yeah.
Go get a coffee con leche. Another thing I was just thinking about too is, obviously your all-staters are going to be very strong, independent musicians. Nothing like preps your student for independence, like all-state or preparing for those honor choirs, When we do those little study sessions starting when school starts, like second week of school, we invite like everybody to come to them. We don't just it's not just for all-state. Like, you can come and then decide, do I want to audition for all-state, or do I just want to come to these? Because you're probably going to get more music theory and more like advanced sight reading things in these little sessions than you're probably going to get in class right now. So if you want to come learn.
That's a great idea.
I know. And it just really kind of like helps prep some of the kids. A lot of them decide, no, I'm not going to audition, but maybe I'll do it next year. It just kind of shows
You're
them
planting the seed.
What's happening.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But nothing preps your kids more than that process for independence, because, they're given that music and they've got to sing it alone against all the other parts, which, at first is terrifying for them. But man, do they have that sense of pride and, ooh, I did it, when they get to the end of that. Yeah. Another thing that we started doing, which I think has really helped our kids, we give our classes, our advanced classes, the sight reading packet for all-state at the beginning of the year, but the whole class. We do it with the whole class because, on those 2 days a week that you're doing all-state prep, it's just not enough time to get to all of that. And I know they're not doing it at home. We have started building that into class sight reading. So we enter routines, procedures, put your backpack down, open up your sight reading packet, start to write the solfege under level 3, number 2, and they start writing it. And now we've practiced it in class. And then I'm not worried And Ashley's not worried if they're not doing it at home because we know we just did it at class, class. And then we have them either volunteer to stand up and try and sing it after we've sung it once. So they kind of have it in their head. And it just, helps them. Number one, oh my goodness, I'm singing by myself and I'm hearing myself do this alone, which is weird at first. But it gives them an opportunity to kind of have that, oh my goodness feeling before they get to the sight reading room. And then we clap, 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 and praise, 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 no matter what happens. And that has really helped our students become more independent in sight reading is having them do that in class by themselves. And then we'll even have like non-all-staters like raise their hand to do it, like, oh, I want to try. I'm not auditioning for All-State, and I know this is probably beyond me, but I'm going to try it. So that has really like helped tremendously with sight reading. And then by the time they get to the test, it's not as scary. You've already done it in front of your friends and your teacher, which to them is scarier than a stranger,
Right, yeah.
Another thing I was just thinking that we've done before that helps with part independence and just independence in general is check days. We've all heard of those, where maybe you are giving them their track and they're practicing it individually and then they're coming back and showing you what they've done. But I have learned that you've got to be really careful with that because it can help you, but it can also hurt you and undo the work you have done so hard on like community and confidence. You have a check day and you need to know your part for a grade, which we need to hold them accountable. But in my experience with middle school kids, you just have to be very careful with it or it just terrifies them and then they shut down completely. And then like all the work you just did on, building them up and we're going to do this together, they're now like freaked out and they don't, want to learn it necessarily. So I've learned to be very careful with that one.
How do you structure rehearsals to give students space to make musical decisions while still maintaining ensemble cohesion?
Yeah. So let's talk like you've passed out a piece and you are trying to interpret poetry and maybe the text and make some decisions, not just you telling them again what to do, but let them make some of those musical decisions. Allow them to, again, write in their music, allow them to read that text and tell you what it means, what they think it means, and there's no wrong answer. Make them feel safe. This is poetry. You can interpret it however you want. What does it mean to you when you just read that? Oh, that is such an awesome interpretation. Anybody else have another idea? And then you'll start to see kids raising their hands. So that is going to help with your cohesion of your ensemble. You're creating these independent thinkers of here's what I think about it, but there's no wrong answer. So I'm going to feel more apt to want to answer, So sight reading again, let's talk about that. Like sometimes with sight reading, you obviously want them to become independent, but when we go to MPA, we also read as an ensemble. It's a cohesive unit. You want them to be able to do that together confidently as a family. You start the year with those all-state tests, but then at the end of the year, you got to make sure they can all do it. We really try to make that fun when we're doing it and do cool things like, after you've read it once as a group, okay, this half of the room, I'm going to keep time. You have measure 1, and we're going to alternate. This half of the room takes measure 2. Or, okay, this side of the room is going to stand and sing that measure. And you just find fun ways to keep them engaged so that sight reading is never boring. It's just fun, And Ashley always does these really cool, when we kind of get close to MPA, she'll put a melody on the board that's like, pop tune or something. The rhythms might be a little beyond what we have to do at MPA, but they have to try and name that tune and figure it out. And they love that. They love that so much. So just always trying to find ways to make it fun, to keep the ensemble kind of feeling good together as a team and as a family, and we can do this, and that kind of stuff is just really helpful when you start to get through those stressful times of MPA. Just make it fun. Never make it something that they dread.
Oh, absolutely. And like going back to the whole community conversation too, once you said this, but just once you have develop that and establish that, all of this stuff should come so easy.
Yes.
Like being able to, ask them to raise their hand and sing part of the exercise. Or I love that you were doing the groupings, like this side sing measure one, this side sing measure two. I've even seen it where, you've done the small groups and then you just whittle it down smaller and smaller and say, okay, you four sing this measure, you four sing the next measure. And then we get down to, okay, who wants to sing it by themselves? And then I've had moments where the kids are like, can we do one person per measure? And I'm like, we'll be here all day. But,
and you're thinking, yes, mission accomplished.
It is accomplished. They get so excited about doing the routine, because we don't make it routine anymore. We change it up. We make it fun for them. Can you share a moment when you saw a student truly step into their independence as a musician?
Oh my goodness. That is such a fantastic question. And I should think of all of them and write them down. And then I'll read them on a bad day.
You have so many. Yeah.
I think my favorite stories to tell in regards to like rewarding moments where you see somebody really step into their confidence is like the kids that come to meet the teacher and they show you their schedule and they're like, I did not sign up for this class.
Yeah.
And you look at them and you're like, okay, well, it's going to be all right. I'm never going to make you sing by yourself unless you want to. And I'll never embarrass you. It's a fun class and we go on field trips and you're just building it up. And then fast forward 1 week and they're saying to you, Miss, I think I'm just going to stay in your class. Kind of like it, you know, and you're like, okay. And then fast forward a little bit again and they're the ones that are raising their hands to sing by themselves.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, do you remember at Meet the Teacher when you met me and you were like, there is no way I will ever do that. And you were about to drop this class. And, it's just, to me, those are the most, especially in middle school, because in middle school, you just really get to see that development and growth from sixth grade all the way to eighth grade. And then, I don't know, after you see all that, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I played a little part in that.
Absolutely.
And it just, as a teacher, makes you feel so rewarded that even with all the other stuff you have to deal with, 'cause we all know there's lots of stuff.
Oh, yes.
At the end of the day, man, those are just the best stories. You just, and then when they leave you, they go on to do big things in music. That is just the coolest, like I know this guy, Alex Pollard. He was in my musical one day back in the day, and he's doing such big things now. So it just gives you a sense of pride. And honestly, I think it sustains you through this career because there is so much that comes with it that is hard. There's hard days. But when you just have that and you see it and you see the impact that you can make, you're like, that's why I do it. That's why I do it. Yeah. So
I love that because, there's so many stories like that when you've seen a student step into their independence. And that Alex Pollard guy, man, I wish he would have taken middle school course. But
oh, my goodness.
But he turned out okay. It always is so heartwarming to see those students grow into those independent musicians.
Sometimes Ashley and I will just look at each other and during solo auditions, spring show comes around, you're doing that fun stuff and a kid will raise their hand to audition and you're like, huh? Really? In your head you're thinking, really? Are they going to? And then they get up and sing it. And Ashley and I look at each other and just get teary, when did this happen? It was so cool. And when they get up on stage and their parents are like, I don't know who that kid was, but thank you, So it's just, I don't know. To me, that's just the best part. There is this poster that I've always had in my classroom that has a quote on it that I love so much to the point that last year, Ashley and I had it printed in vinyl and stuck it on our wall.
Okay.
Now, of course, they painted in the spring and had to take it down, so I'm heartsick, but we'll get it made again. But anyway, it's my favorite quote. It says, use the talents you possess. The woods would be very silent if no birds sang there except for those that sang the best. And I think that is such a poignant quote, not just for our students, but just also for us. As educators, we strive to develop young musicians and leaders, and we encourage that growth and independence by giving them all these opportunities we just talked about to fly. No pun intended, but and then they may fall and then they fly again, and we build them up every day, and we're their hype person. They feel safe with us, and with their chorus people. And then when they get to that point of confidence, they're going to be so willing to showcase what they're capable of doing alone. But it just takes a little work on the front end. And, like I said, I think it's such a good quote just for us too, as educators. And it doesn't matter how many years you've been teaching, you're always going to have this weird, fear of, am I good enough? But I'm not the best singer,
syndrome.
But if nobody does it, then who's going to do it, So sometimes we let our fear hold us back because we don't want to fail. And that's why you need your circle that you guys talked about. You need your people to build you up, to be your hype person, you got this. Ashley and I always whenever one of us gets invited to do an honor choir or something, at first we're so tentative and fearful. And then I'll get to the location and I'll find a card inside my notebook, that she stuffed in there just to encourage each other. You just have to do that for your people. And then, step into what you're afraid of, do that honor choir. Somebody asks you to do it, do that. Your feeder school asks you to do a major work and asks you to conduct, one of the movements. And you're like, what? Especially middle school teachers, we don't do that every day.
Right.
Do it, do all the things that scare you because that's going to grow you too.
Absolutely.
So, I think this podcast was for me too.
You know what? I am learning that I just need to talk through these things more and talk with other amazing people so that way I can remember these things myself too.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so proud of you and I'm so happy you're doing this. I think it's going to impact many.
Oh, thank you, Courtney. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Choirwire. Thank you again to our special guest, Courtney Connelly. So if you're trying to build a choir that doesn't just sound good, but thinks good, start small. Give them space. Let them mess up and celebrate when they figure it out. Thanks for hanging with me today on Choirwire. If you've got tips or stories about building independence in your choir, hit me up on Instagram at Choirwire Podcast. I'd love to share your ideas in a future episode. Until next time, keep teaching, keep laughing, and keep building those brilliant musicians. If Choirwire has added a little harmony to your rehearsal week or sparked something new in your planning, consider supporting the show. Just head on over to choirwire.buzzsprout.com to help support. No pressure, just a simple way to keep the ideas flowing and the episodes coming. I have ideas of expanding the show past my small platform. Thank you for all you do, and thanks for being part of this community.